Okay, so I don't know if everybody heard at the beginning, but we did start the meeting at 1 o'clock. And I am going to go over the Kimley Horn Drive program that has all of the information that they put together for us after driving all of the roads for our master plan. And we are going to work with council members Hartman, Griebel, and Sires to help put together what projects we're going to do, what years, breakdown, not all of this meeting because it's going to take a bunch of months. But using this information, we're going to be able to break down what we are going to do project wise and prioritize what to do when. So using this website, when I first log in, it brings us right up to segments. And so you can see on this map, when I blow up, and then if I hover over the road, it will show you that says Duck Lake Drive Northeast from Cornwell Court to Glover Court. And the surface type is AC, which is asphalt concrete. The other surface type on here is PC, which is Portland cement concrete. And all of our roads are shown on there. Then arrowing down on this page. Well, that's all we have on that page actually, because we don't have any other information yet. We have work history on the next tab down. And we can do the same thing here with this map. And I like to look at it with the satellite, because it helps me reference even more kind of where I'm at. But you can see the same thing with this map. If you hover over it, it'll show you this here says Orion Avenue from Polaris Avenue Southwest to Dorado Avenue Southwest. It says that work was last done on June 1st of 2022 and the work type was crack seal. So any information that we had to make available to Kimley Horn has been put into this website for previous work.
Becky, may I ask a question?
Absolutely.
I'm sure every council member has read this beautiful report, and you're going over it with us. We've looked at it before. I don't know how the other two counselors feel. We need administration as a part of this, because anything that it needs to be one big team working on this plan. And I think my personal opinion is that we need to have town halls as well, because what we're talking about is, as a team, as you know, we need to spend money. We don't have enough in the general fund to fund this probably adequately or even close to, which means we need a funding source. We need some ideas. We need a game plan, and we need a decision at how good or bad we're conscientiously going to make these roads. It's a bigger question than 3 council members. What do you think?
No, I definitely agree. Alex would have been here today, but he took the afternoon off. He's the streets crew chief. He was here at the last meeting and everybody got to meet him. But, you know, Alex needs to be involved. The mayor and Scott need to be involved. The new public works director will have a heavy involvement with this as well. What I'm showing you, and I love the town hall idea as well, because I can show this at town halls, probably not as in-depth as what I'm going to show today, but I can show parts of this at a town hall and just give the public a better awareness of the condition of our streets and roads. And funding ideas. I think everybody's going to have funding ideas, you know, like probably 70% of the people that come to the meeting. So I think that's a great idea.
I have a follow-up question. The team that did this, the company that we hired,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what what the conversations have been behind closed doors. We will all agree that their cameras measure cracks and things like that, and not necessarily dips and valleys and, you know, road issues in that regard. But I feel as though they didn't come in and play and say, hey, by the way, you know, we're not going to catch stuff like East Ocean Shores Boulevard. I don't believe they really said that. They basically came in and gave us a really good grade. Are their numbers trustworthy? I mean, are we maybe is the budget that they give us maybe as not perfect as their actual road survey?
I'm pretty confident in their numbers because of what they, I mean, what they looked at. They can show me if I had a question, like say I went and found alligatoring or a section on a road that needed crack seal. If I were to drive out and find it and say, Kinley Horn, show me your video, they still have all that video information. So for what they were hired to do, is kind of like the fresh waterways plan that we're doing. It focuses on the toxic algae, the cyanobacteria versus the weed management in the canals. So they're being managed as two separate projects. And when we started the streets master plan, I don't know if we didn't ask them, like, I don't know if we did or didn't ask them to do it, the dips in the roads and things. But we do have to remember, and I know you guys all know this, that East Ocean Shores Boulevard, as much of a roller coaster as it is, we really can't do anything until after the Laura Jetty project is done. And
Yep.
they are scheduled to stage this October and then finish late 26, early 27. But I heard from John Shaw a couple weeks ago, there's gonna be over 3,000 truckloads of, gigantic boulders. So we're gonna see, and they're gonna go down that road. We're gonna see more dips, heavier dips between now and then.
And of those loads, I can't remember how many tons that they were saying it was per load. I'd be making the number off the top of my head, but obviously we know that Ocean Shores Boulevard is really gonna get pounded. Now, they will pay to repair the damage they've done. But obviously, we don't know what that's gonna look like yet.
Well, that's great news. Last time they sometimes had one rock per truck. They were that big.
Yeah, I can believe that. Yeah, that's probably the number reason they have the 3,000 number.
Yeah, if they're going to pay for the damage, do we have the baseline of what it is now that we can measure against?
So we're gonna get a baseline.
They will get a baseline too. So they're gonna come in with their cameras and they're gonna go all the road, any road they're gonna use in the city, they're gonna film it ahead of time. Do something very similar to what Kinley Horn did, and then they'll use that as their baseline.
Okay, good.
Okay, so next on here in the work history part, we're also able to update the work history. There's a section that I'll show you later that says project planner. And when we update the project planner, because we do work, what you see here, it is really weird for me to work back here from that screen. This would all update once a project is done. So we've got full access to do that. Under the conditions section, I'll go back up to the map. And you can see again here, if you hover over, this one says Cockle Street Southwest from North Razor Clan Drive, southwest to Cockle Street Southeast. And this is where it shows you each street section, what the PCI is for that section. So this is a 93 and it's rated good. And so from there, we can go down and see the graphs for how much total surface area here on the right, how much total surface area is good, satisfactory, and fair. We don't have anything that's poor right now. We have very little that's fair. When I've said like, we're gonna work the committee and council on putting together what projects, I mean, Rich, you have a good point. This isn't gonna all fall on the three council members and Scott and I. It has to be bigger picture. Bigger picture with the mayor and the citizens. Are we okay with not spending as much money and having roads go down to satisfactory or fair? Are we okay with that for some roads, but not all roads? That really needs to, be the big picture conversation. And how much is it gonna cost to keep them good or keep them satisfactory? And this website show, it can show us all of those things by different sorting. This is a PCI index, percent of area, that is 70 PCI, 80 PCI, 90 PCI, and 100. And you can see that we have a lot of 90 PCI road area. And then going down to the budget analysis, I think this is probably really what we're all going to be most interested in. So on budget analysis, I can click select scenario. And we can say we want to spend, I've been playing around with 1 million just because that's what it defaulted to. So we can say we want to spend $1 million a year. And then confirming that, updating the inputs. And then the duration is for 5 years. So from 2025 through 2029, if the city of Ocean Shores is going to spend $1 million on our roads. It will show you this right here, condition summary, what your PCI will go to year after year if we spend $1 million. So if we spend $1 million every year, in 2029, our PCI is going to go down to 84.6. So essentially 5 points in 5 years if we don't do the work. Now, that said, there may be a road right now that's in fair condition, and that particular road is going to go down to poor condition if we don't do anything to that road because it's already starting out fair. And we can find all those roads in here as we hover over the map. It's the same thing here. And I'll take us to the ones that show, I'll find one that says fair. So this Canal Drive Southeast from Canal Drive Northeast to Bailey Court Southeast has a PCI of 70, and that is fair. And by putting different number scenarios, because there's scenarios that are do no work is an option to choose, maintain the PCI, having the PCI at a comfortable level of 86, if that's our comfortable level. That's just what was put in there initially. You know, and then 4 million a year if we were to spend 4 million, 3 million, 2 million, or 2.5 million. So we can run this with all of these different, so like, let me just pick 2.5 million. And then I'm going to update the input. And then to show this, I don't know if it's updated yet, but what would happen here is, you know, we're starting at the 91.49, and then over 5 years, we'd be at an 88.48 instead of an 84 or 86. I can't remember what it was when it was at 1 million. But it's a helpful tool to see if we were to spend this, what are we going to get out of it? And there's some different areas in here that will show us that also. There is a breakdown here of the roads, like ADAC Court to Wawona Avenue Southeast, AC because it's asphalt concrete, and then it's got the area of the road, length, width, and then, well, this one's not very exciting. There's other ones that tell more. There's one that, and you'll see it. There's one that shows the PCI of it. When we go to scenario comparison, I hit select scenario for comparison. And so here we can compare if we want to spend 1 million, maintain our PCI, or do no work. And then this graph shows us if we do no work this year, our PCI will go down to 88.4. If we were to spend 1 million, our PCI will stay at 90. And then just on down the line for each year in the 5-year period, based on 1 million maintained PCI or no work.
Becky, I have another question. Is the company we hired also articulate in helping us compare
Yes.
all the different funding possibilities.
Yep, they absolutely are. And there's funding possibilities in the master plan as well. But yeah, they are. I think what we should do, and we haven't done it yet, but it's a good place to bring it up, is kind of what we're doing with Herrera. We have an on-call contract with Herrera, so we can pick up the phone and say, I have this question about the fresh waterways. And it's an on-call contract outside of the scope of work for the master plan and the treatment of the waterways. It would be good to have one with Kimley Horn as well, because we're using their drive program. They've put all the information into it that they've collected. We have closed out the contract with them at this point because their work for this scope is done. But I'll look into asking them. I will ask them for a cost just for like a pick up the phone and call them with questions.
Because other than the obvious general fund, I don't know if they suggest you could raise a sales tax or you could do this type of I just don't know the options, because we should have a game plan before we would have a public meeting so that we can show everybody the different funding choices that we might be able to have.
Yeah, and we could have them come to the public meeting.
Yeah,
as
that was.
well. Denise, did you have something?
Yeah, well, I agree with Rich that we should have some kind of proposal, at least before we bring it to the public. My question was about the contract that we have with Kimley Horn. How long do we have access to the software? I mean, did we purchase this?
It's yearly.
Okay,
I think all of the websites that we have are yearly.
Annual subscription.
Yeah.
okay.
And we are talking, Scott and I had a meeting with one group, and this is the time of year for some reason, this is kind of a sidebar. We're getting calls every week, a couple times a week sometimes, for companies who can offer these same services, but some of them can pull all of our programs together into one so that we'd have a one-stop shop. Richard, look, he saw one presented at the meeting you guys went to. But there's a bunch of different companies that can do that and pull it together. So like the big capital facilities plan and the streets master plan could all be pulled into one website and put on our city site, which would be pretty cool. So looking forward to that.
One more interruption, since Lisa and Denise are here. The opportunity potentially next year could be, in November, could potentially be an advisory vote. I'm not sure we would get all our ducks in a row to have options, but to be able to go out to the voters and say, which would you prefer, A or B, or maybe C is none, but something that wouldn't cost the city too much money, yet get a true idea what the real public wants, rather than just a couple hundred that come to a meeting.
Okay, so then here we have.
Are you looking for a reaction, Rich, on that?
No, mainly just putting on the tip of your brain that these are hard decisions, and I sincerely doubt that the mayor wants to make the decision that we do nothing or spend 4 million a year. I know I wouldn't. I would like direction from the taxpayers that have been burdened with LIDs in the past, and have them be part of the decision a little bit more actively, so that they feel like they're part of the solution and that they're helping spend their own money if they choose to, rather than just us mandating something.
I just feel that something like November would be way premature. I don't think that we would have.
No,
all of
I'm
the
talking about
information.
2026.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about this
No.
November.
No, next year, if
Yeah.
we even have options that quickly.
I think we could have options that quickly. With the public works director on board.
Yeah, I think we could certainly by 2026. Yeah, I agree with that.
So the budget treatment summary is a graph of what we would have to spend if we were to spend $1 million a year or to maintain our PCI or do no work. There's no bars for no work because there's no work and it's free. So the 1 million per year, the first one is $1,307.56. Not really sure why it's not exactly, because that's not even right tax. Don't know why the $307.56 is on there. In 2026, if we spend $1 million a year, it's $1,878. And if we were to maintain our PCI, it would be 3.6 million. So you can see that there's a difference there of $2.6 million to maintain the PCI versus spending the $1 million. And then it goes up from there. It would be 4.1 million in 27, 4 million in 28, and then it goes 4.2 million in 29. And then there's another graph that we'll see that will show the breakdown of what work needs to be done based on those costs. And this shows amount of work. So we talked last time the difference between crack seal base repairs, the overlay, and the slurry seal and the seal coat. And these are color coded. You can see on the right that the bars are color coded based on those work items. So this one for 2025 shows that we need 0.3 lane miles of crack seal and base repairs and 1.5 mil overlay. And 3.88 lane miles of crack seal base and slurry. And 7.92 lane miles of crack seal base repairs and seal coat. And then it just breaks them up differently of what would be needed throughout the years. And this one is very useful. This shows the same thing, but the cost is added. So this year, 2025, we would be looking at $561,000 of crack seal base repair and seal coat. And then there's this little one down here, $20,000 of crack seal base repair and the 3-inch mill overlay. And we are working with a vendor on crack seal. He's going to come down and walk. He's going to look at this with us and look at crack seal. He's done work on our roads before. So Scott and Alex and I met with him last week, and we're going to schedule a time for him to come down. We'll talk about that at a future meeting. And then you can see this next one has a cost of $312,000 and the top one is $105,000. So this is just a really nice view, easy to look at of which type of materials are needed and the cost per year going forward. Then the project planner, when we actually have a project to do on the roads. Choose planner. We can select existing planner scenario that we had from above. So I'm just going to keep it on the $1 million here. Rerun the analysis. And then you'll see the map is starting to populate on the left. And this is showing the differences needed between routine maintenance, preventative maintenance, and major reconstruction. And yes, we have some major reconstruction on here. On point. Oh, maybe that's minor rehabilitation. I think that's minor because it's orange, not red. On Point Brown, from on Point Brown Avenue Northeast. But down here too. Oh, and it also gives the, I can get it on there, where it says project ID on a sign. Once we were to put a project in, it will put that project ID in. And any place that section of road comes up, it will reference that project anytime you hover over it as well. project table. This is where we'd add projects and titles. We can start planning now for all 5 years instead of just planning 1 year at a time. We can go in and update if we put something on 2029 and all of a sudden we want to do it in 2027, we can go in and make those changes at any time as well. Condition overview. The condition overview shows there we go. The condition overview shows us year by year, what the PCI is pre-treatment and post-treatment. And this is based on $1 million a year. And we can, again, change that cost to 2 million, 2.5 million, no work, all of the different amounts that were on that drop-down menu. Project overview would hold all of the information for the project, year, the ID number, segment count, what's funded, the treatments that are getting done, and then the locations included. And again, that's the same thing where anytime you hover over a street that was put in as the location in the project overview, it will also show anytime we are hovering over that street. Budget overview. So the budget overview shows each type of project and costs per year based on the scenario planner entry, which was $1 million for what we're looking at right now. So you can see in 2025, a total budget of $1,500,000. The breakdown that we will do is $874,000 of preventative maintenance and $126,000 of rehabilitation. And you can see that for each year. And we have significantly more preventative maintenance needed than rehabilitation total in looking at these dollars, which is probably why our PCI is such a high rating at 90 right now to start. Other assets that we have. Now, we asked Kimley Horn to track these, but we did not pay for them to be put into the program other than they're there. So these are our signs and road markings. At any time, we can call Kimley Horn and say, turn them on. I think a good one that I don't think signs are really necessary right now, but we know our pavement markings, the arrows on Point Brown, the arrows on the boulevard, the stop lines at stop signs, some of the crosswalks, we know that they need to be refreshed. And if we were to have it turned on in this program, and I don't know what a cost is, but we'll get that. If we have it turned on in this program, I mean, the time savings of having somebody drive around and write it all down and make a map, plus margin of error for that is going to be higher than what we have here. So that's what the other assets piece is. And then the last, I think this is the last part on here. Oh, over here. I can't get it to go down there. There's a section called treatments under assets, and the treatment shows the different treatments, maintenance, minor rehab, or major reconstruction. cost per square foot of each of those treatments. It's a breakdown of like $1, and I think the most expensive one was like $11 and some odd cents. But that's what the treatments tab is, and it also says how many years in life extension that particular treatment would give that section of road were it to be done. It's really just definitions. It's not a, what if we did this instead of that type option? It's just the definitions of it. And then the last piece that's on here, the last tab is the exporting data. So I exported one of the pieces of information, and it was about 100 pages of an Excel document. Given time, you know, I could definitely sort and hunt and peck and make it a viable document, and I will do that. I'm gonna recommend to Kimley Horn that they, like, all you can choose is export and one thing, you can't narrow it down before you hit export, and they really need to do that. So I'm probably not the only customer asking for that, but I'm going to ask for that from them. I think this is a really good tool for us to use, and I think we're gonna be able to get our roads and streets. I mean, we're already at a 90, but we should be able to maintain them with the information that we have from here.
Yeah, the road markings, if that's just a matter of turning that on, isn't that something that's already within budget that wouldn't require a budget amendment?
It would be additional.
It would be additional, okay. You know, the other thing is I like Rich's idea of doing a town hall, except to me, it seems that it needs to be broader than streets. You know, the thing is, we have a lot of public works issues, and I think we need to take kind of a higher view of that. Because I think before we talk about streets, we need to look more at strategic planning. I mean, we have other infrastructure issues, we have water issues, building issues, and all of those are competing for the same kind of dollars. So I think if we're talking about a town hall, we need to include all of those, our waterways. There's lots of issues. It's not just about streets, and all of those affect everybody.
They do. Yeah, our infrastructure is aging. It's not getting any younger, right?
Yes, we know that from, that's right.
You know, we're doing some pretty big projects. Thank you, council, for approving the projects at the wastewater treatment plant. I have another 1 or 2 big ones coming that are budgeted, but we'll bring them for approval and tell everybody what they're about. But I mean, yeah, I feel like we're on the right track, but there is a lot that needs to get done. You're right, yeah. So a town hall would be great for all of those things. Maybe bring the crew chief so they can meet people.
Well, and hopefully we will have a new public works director to announce in the very near future. So.
Yeah, that'll be great. That is everything I have. Council, do you have anything else you have questions about or want to bring up?
Hey, I have just a quick question. Can someone remind me where we are with the moving the modular down to the South Fire Station? Just a update on that, please.
Yep, sure. We are finishing working through the insurance paperwork with the main contractor who's doing the big bulk of the repairs. So that should be done today. And he let me know today that he had to put other things in his schedule, so he should be able to start clearing and grading the week of the 18th, because he has to get the site ready at the south end, clearing and grading and pouring the foundation. And then we are working with a company. This has to go out to bid, but I had one guy come down and take a look at it to give us a quote. The actual take it apart and put it on the loader. So learning a lot about moving a modular that's already in place or moving a modular at all. The people that actually drive it aren't the people that put the modular on what's being driven. So we are bringing another party into the mix for that. So you guys will see that come up at council, I think, unless it's already under the budget of the GC and he takes him on as a sub. That's a possibility, because that was part of his line item, was to do that. So I think we're gonna have the person do it as a sub, and the GC is gonna cover it, so.
You want to update the clinic? Because I know that.
Yeah, so we started the clinic 3 weeks ago and the plumbing has been cut in and the concrete has filled that back in. So it's all laid out. They're gonna start framing, I think, next week. If not this week, it's moving pretty quick. The fire guys were in there today to take a look at the sprinkler system that they're gonna be installing, and it is a 120-day build is the expectation for that one. So definitely by the end of the year, we should be up and running for the clinic. Yeah, and the fire station schedule, he gave a schedule to be completed with his repairs, the main contractor, towards the end of August. But now that he's not starting, it'll probably be late September, early October. So that's a pretty quick turnaround for him as well. And then, like I had said at the council meeting when we did approval, we're gonna have to bring back floors, because that wasn't part of the original bid. So we'll have a flooring contractor for floors, and that might end up being everything. Gutters and downspouts. That's it off the top of my head.
Anything else, council?
No, nothing here.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.